Next, we move on to Chalcolithic. Chalcolithic. Now keep in mind the Chalcolithic lifestyle will almost be similar to Neolithic lifestyle. Why? Did you understand my question? I'm simply saying my claim is that Chalcolithic lifestyle is very much similar to the lifestyle of a Neolithic society. Not much of a difference. Why? Part of Neolithic Inca. The copper that these people are using here is not a very, very strong raw material from which you can create such hard tools, which is going to change your life. Okay. So essentially, I'm saying Chalcolithic, I'm writing it very short. Chalcolithic life is almost similar to a Neolithic life. But slightly, don't you think the size of the population and the territory will be more? Because these people are using some kind of a metal. So essentially they are very, very similar. So can I say Chalcolithic people are also food producers? They're doing a cultivation, they're doing domestication of animals. Have you heard of this? Most probably you should have definitely heard by now. You are all attempting the prelims this year. Shifting cultivation. Can anyone tell me one more word for shifting cultivation? Slash and burn cultivation. Anyone can think and tell me, do we use plow in slash and burn and shifting cultivation? Plow. Plow that we commonly keep seeing our villagers using that. Do you find plow used in shifting cultivation? No, please. Then what is used for tilling the ground? Anyone can tell? An instrument called hoe. H-O-E. What is a hoe? You all know it. But what is that exact picture? You go and see that hoe today. Okay. So the main kind of cultivation that is being done here is shifting or slash and burn cultivation. In Telugu, Chatara, Podu, it's called Podu. Shifting or slash and burn cultivation. Using hoes. So there are no plows, keep it in mind. Not in Neolithic, not in Chalcolithic. Okay. What you see in Chalcolithic is one important thing is beginning of social stratification. What do you mean by that? Hierarchies are starting. Some people are becoming richer than others. How do you think archaeologists will come to know that some people are having more wealth? Looking at grave goods is one indication. And you know about grave goods? Grave goods in ancient times, when people are dead, they're buried. When they bury the members, along with the dead member, they will also put some goods, offer some goods. Those are called as grave goods. Now, looking at grave goods, how can you tell that there is stratification in the society? Some burials containing more number of goods, costly goods. Some burials containing only a few goods or a very, very cheap goods. Is that indicating that a person with having more number and costly goods was having a higher status in the society maybe? That's one way. Anyone can tell me another way how archaeologists will find out some kind of stratification in the society. Houses. Some of the houses are smaller, some are larger. That again shows you that yeah, some kind of hierarchy beginning has already started. So the main evidences you get from burials and the sizes of the houses. These people, they were practicing, Chalcolithic people wear clothes? How can you tell that? Neolithic itself, these people have already started. So generally in clothing, I did not write, I should have written this point in Neolithic only. Generally, when you find from cotton, raw cotton that is there on the field, you'll have to make it into a piece of fabric. It has to go through two processes. No, first process, you have to make the thread. What is the process by which you bring thread? Called as spinning under that. Once the thread is brought, then you'll have to weave the thread and interlock the thread in such a way that it becomes a kind of a fabric. Okay. So two steps are generally undertaken. One is called spinning and then it is weaving. Dyeing and all will come a bit later, right? Dyeing ain't color add chestanu. That's like a very later step that you get. Generally, this process spinning is done by a small tool. Anyone knows this? Spinning, charka kaadu. Gandhi tata తీసుకురాదు. Charka comes very, very late. Charka we got in medieval India. The spinning wheel came into India in medieval times. And ancient India completely gone. You did not have charka. Anyone can tell me in those days then how were they spinning? They had a small instrument called, I'm writing here. Hey, my class student should tell here. Spindle whorls. Spindle whorls. Now I can't explain in detail, okay? I'll just give a very brief description. A spindle whorl was a small instrument where it will have a kind of a wooden bar kind of a thing, okay? On the top of it, there'll be a hook. And at the bottom of it, there's a weight attached. Okay? You take the raw cotton, visualize that raw cotton with that very thin fibers inside it. I am holding the raw cotton in one hand. I am putting this bar with a hook onto that. And I'm spinning it. Because this instrument has a small weight attached to it at the bottom, what's going to happen, The thin fibers inside that cotton actually get rotated against one another and it will become a kind of a slightly more thicker thread, if you're able to visualize. That's how a spindle whorl used to work. Most of the spinning in India was not done by spinning wheel. Remember, it was done by spindle whorls. And then weaving, you can easily guess, it was done by needles. Later on, people started bringing something called as hand loom. Have you seen a hand loom? How does it look like? Some person sits down and in front of them they'll have two wooden frames. And they'll be keep pulling that. Yes, but those things are very, very late. In those times they were using needles and these things. Next, because we are coming very closer to the history, Chalcolithic times, can we have a greater information about Chalcolithic societies? Compared to Paleolithic societies, will we have greater information about Chalcolithics? Yes, more amount of goods will be remaining. So we do have an idea about the religious life also, Religious life, we have some information about them. And these people were worshipping mainly female goddesses, whom we call as generally Mother Goddess. Main worship was of Mother Goddess, female goddesses they were worshipping. Is this going to continue into the Indus Valley civilization? Do we find Mother Goddess there? Very much. Next. Tools, I'm not writing any specific tools because they're essentially a continuation of Neolithic. But definitely can we see some metal tools also, copper tools? Here and there, they might be making some copper tools as well. I'm not writing that. Next, the sites is more important because 2 PYQs in prelims they've asked from these things only. They did not ask about the lifestyle. Okay, they are asking about these sites. But to understand the Chalcolithic sites, because this is the part where they're asking questions for the exam, I'm going to do it in a slightly elaborate way. Okay. Don't write. First, we'll have a small discussion. Just keep an eye on that. Okay. We are studying about Chalcolithic. Chalco people are already using copper. Yes. The next IVC is a Bronze Age civilization. Yes or no? Bronze means they're already using copper with tin. Can IVC come or Bronze Age society come without prior Chalcolithic stage? Can a Bronze Age society emerge without having a prior Chalcolithic stage? No, please. So definitely can I say chronologically, if you see, Chalcolithic societies, some of them should have definitely been pre-IVC. Should there be some pre-IVC Chalcolithic societies in India? Doubt adantlo? Question ardhamainda? Did you understand my question? I'm simply saying, before getting the Bronze Age, should we have some pre-Indus Valley civilization Chalcolithic sites existing in India? Because without that, you cannot really have a Bronze Age. So, will all the Chalcolithic societies go into Bronze Age? Is it necessary that all the Chalcolithic societies go into bronze? Not necessary, because not everyone may have access to tin. So can I say there could have been some Chalcolithic societies running parallel to IVC? While IVC is going on, there might be in the other parts of India some other Chalcolithic societies. Is there a chance that these Chalcolithic societies, can I use the word contemporary to IVC? What do you mean by contemporary? Existing in the same time period. So there will be some Chalcolithic cultures before IVC. There will be some Chalcolithic cultures during IVC. And when IVC collapsed, some Chalcolithic societies were still continuing to survive. If you get that point. So can I say these are post-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures? Wait a minute. Those which are continuing even after the decline of IVC, can I call them as post-Harappan? Your NCERT is giving this chronological differentiation in the Chalcolithic. That's why I'm stressing, and they're asking questions from this only. 2 questions have come from Chalcolithic. Both of them came from this part. So I'm writing for sites. I've given their heading. I'm writing in a chronological order. So you divide the Chalcolithic cultures in India into 3 types. Pre-Harappan. IVC is also called Harappan. Everyone knows that. I need not tell it. Pre-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures. Chalcolithic cultures contemporary to IVC. And post-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures. Which of these 3 do you think may not have similarities to Harappa? May not have. Which of these 3 types may not have much of similarities with Harappan civilization? Post one, because he's coming generally after the fall of IVC. Most of the pre-Harappan Chalcolithic cultures, they only actually evolved into Harappan. Because they were existing at the same time period, they will definitely have some connections with Harappa. So some similarities are found. The ones which does not have much similarities is post-Harappan. I'm writing it here itself. Less similarities with IVC. And this is what they're asking in the exam. 2 questions, both of them came from this section. So when I'm trying to show you the focus areas, that's your job, that when you're reading, pay more attention to that part. A few sites here, few sites for each of them very fastly. You might have heard all of these things. Amri and Kot Diji in Pakistan. Amri and Kot Diji in Pakistan. The next 2 or 3 you might have heard. Kalibangan. Yes, please, Kalibangan and Ganeshwar. Both of them in Rajasthan. Now, do you come across Kalibangan during IVC? So naturally, can I say Kalibangan was a pre-Harappan Chalcolithic culture, which eventually evolved into the Harappan culture, civilization itself. Yes. One more. Most of you might have heard this also. Banawali. Can you tell me the state? Haryana. Haryana, Balwali. Amri and Kot Diji in Pakistan, Kalibangan and Ganeshwar in Rajasthan, and Banawali, Haryana. Chalcolithic cultures contemporary to IVC. Firstly, I'm writing in the next page. Contemporary. Kayata culture. Kayata culture. All of them mentioned in NCERT. I'm only using those things. I'm not burdening you people. Madhya Pradesh. Kayata culture in Madhya Pradesh. Ahar Banas culture. Rajasthan. Ahar Banas culture in Rajasthan. Next, in the post-Harappan, this is what is most important. The first one itself, they are asking questions. Okay, the second one they'll ask. Malwa culture. Malwa culture. I am writing some important sites of this. Within Malwa, Iran, Navdatoli, Iran, Navdatoli, Nagda. Second site, second main culture, Jorwe culture. And this is what they have been repeatedly stressing. Both the times questions have come from Jorve culture only. Jorve culture is in Maharashtra. Because repeatedly questions have come, I am writing more number of sites for this. You can write down. Dayamabad, Inam Gaon, Songaon, Nevasa. I'm adding a few more here. Nevasa, Chandoli, Prakash, and Nasik. Okay. And the last one more culture I'm writing on the post Harappan only. Below this continuing Malwa is one, Jorva is one, and next is OCP. Ochre colored pottery culture. The full form is ochre colored pottery. The full form is OCP culture. It's called OCP culture. And what do you really mean by that is, in that sites where you are finding this chalcolithic weapons or tools and all, one particular type of pottery is being found, which is of what color? And ochre color. Anyone knows what is ochre color nearby? Reddish. Ochre is near to reddish color. Red. Sometimes OCP culture is also called by another name. It's called copper hoard culture. Copper hoard. Anyone can tell me what is the meaning of the word hoard? It's a collection or a group of many items found at one place. Where you might have heard here and there, traders are doing a very wrong practice called hoarding. Not allowing goods to come into the market to artificially increase their price. Hoarding they call it hoarding. Okay, hoarding is to collect items at one place. Okay, so what is generally happening is within the. If you just look at what did I say some time back, I was saying something that post Harappan cultures are the ones which are least similar to IBC. 3 cultures have written there: Malwa, Jorve, and now I'm writing OCP. Of these 3, if there is anyone having more similarity to Harappa, is OCP. That is the distinction of OCP compared to the others, is that this culture is more similar to IBC. And I'm writing the chronological timeline of OCP. The reason is that your NCERT has given a separate 2 or 3 paragraph for this heading. So showing that it is slightly important. Okay, this is actually coming from 2000 to 1500 BC. Now look at the timeline. Can I say it is post Harappa and pre-Vedic? After the fall of Harappa, but before the rise of Vedic. Okay, so that's the reason they have given a specific paragraph for that. It is post Harappa and it is pre-Vedic. Okay, these are all some features of your Chalcolithic culture. Next, before we go into the Bronze Age, there is one more prehistoric culture which I just now said sometime back was megalithic cultures. Megalithic culture. Again, from this also they've asked 2 times prelims questions they've asked. Although this is not even mentioned in NCERT. In NCERT, if anyone has seen this name anywhere, no, they don't have any specific chapter on megalithic culture. In between the chapters here and there, they have used the name of this word, the megalithic culture. But nowhere do you have any description of what is megalithic culture in the NCERT. Then on what basis they are asking questions? Current affairs. If any article has come in the newspaper about megalithic culture, they are asking questions. 2 questions have already come on megalithic, even though this is not mentioned anywhere in NCRTs, either in old NCRTs or in new NCRTs. You don't find any megalithic culture discussion, but still these people are asking. From the very word itself, you can understand that mega and big. So don't think that these people are using big stones as tools. Okay, they are so huge that very, very huge structures. So those societies which are known to us by the huge stone structures they have built, such societies you are calling as megalithic. Don't think that megalithics are used as tools. So which means if they are not using stone as tool, they should, then why are they building these big structures is what you should get a question. Anyone can tell me what could have been the purpose why these people are building such huge stone structures? Burials. One purpose is burials. There is a possibility of another purpose of which you don't find much examples in India. There can be possibility that they were using these huge stone structures to make some astronomical observations. Have you heard anything like Jantar Mantar in Delhi? Have you heard anything like a structure called Jantar Mantar in Delhi? What is that? Jantar Mantar in Delhi, today, there is a structure called Jantar Mantar. What do you find in Jantar Mantar? You find many kind of huge constructions here and there. Most of them were used for making astronomical observations, like acting like a sundial, etc., etc. Probability is that these big stone structures can be used either for burial purpose or for making astronomical observations. Most of the evidences of megalithic culture we found in India are not really for astronomical observations, but for burials. Now in society, in common day life, everyday life, also if you go to a burial ground, do you see generally that after burying a person, they put a kind of a stone or something on that? Yes or no, please? Same thing was done by the people in those times, but not for every person who will die. If you want to build such structure for every person who will die in the society, and then you will have to eat entire mountains. Okay. Only most important people, those people were given such kind of memorials, burial memorials, and such societies we are calling as megalithic societies. I am writing 2 important words over here. Virargal. This is a name used in Tamil Nadu for that huge stones which are used for memory of the people who have died over there. Okay, these are simply called in English hero stones and antar. Virargal is in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kannada. Viragallu, Virargal or Viragallu. I am also writing another word, Viragallu. It's in Karnataka they call so. And Natukal is the word for hero stones in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so what is so special about megalithic culture? Let us see that. Now, I just now said they are used mainly for burials. Okay, in burials, is it a clue for archaeologists that when they find some huge stones placed in one area, in a geometrical pattern or something, there's an indication that there should be a burial over there? If they go and check nearby, along with that skeletons, can they find some grave goods? Can they find some grave goods? Grave goods offered to that person who died over there? Yes. From that grave goods, can they get a lot of information about the life of the society? Yes. And what was very interesting is that from the grave goods, these people have found, anyone can tell me? Ornaments and they've got many things, but what is most surprising for archaeology is that they are not just made of stone and copper or bronze. Many of these implements which have been buried along with that people were made of iron. So iron implements were found in these grave goods. Now, what does that tell to the archaeologists? That these people are not Stone Age people, they are not Bronze Age people, they are Iron Age people. Now, you tell me, if you use iron for agriculture, will you get surplus production of food? If you use iron for agriculture, will you get surplus production of food? Will there be cities and states and all can come up? Yes, but unfortunately, for these megalithic societies, they are able to find iron. But these people don't have any cities. They don't have any writing or scripts. They don't have any big kingdoms or states. Then what could be the reason? What explains that although they are using iron, they don't have states, they don't have cities, they don't have scripts. Iron they are using for some other purpose. They are not using it much for agriculture purpose. Chittara. They are using iron mainly for military purpose. Fighting weapons, hunting animals, they are using iron more for that. You tell me, if these people would have used iron aggressively or intensively for agricultural purposes, what would have happened? How their life would have looked like? If they would have used iron for intensively for agricultural purposes, is there a possibility that they will have a lot of surplus? Surplus production of food. With surplus, it all can be taxed and collected in the form of a kingdom would have come. But these people, if you'll see, although they are using first of all, by the fact that they are having iron implements, says that they belong to Iron Age, but they are still living a prehistoric life. Still living a prehistoric life, that is, there are no scripts, no cities, and no states. The question is, why? Why they don't have all these things? Because they are using iron more for military and hunting purpose. If they use iron for agriculture purpose, only then they can get surplus. From that surplus, they can get all these scripts and cities and states. Listen. Firstly. Next, where do you find these megalithic cultures in India? You find megalithic cultures in India all across the country, but they are mainly concentrated in one part of India, that is mainly in peninsular India. The Deccan and South India, they are more concentrated. So I'm simply writing the next line, that is geographical distribution. If you take more concentrated in Deccan and South India. Why? Anyone can think and tell me, why could they be more concentrated in Deccan and South India? It's a plateau, Deccan Plateau, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, whereas if you go to Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, it's more of a plain area. So you really don't find much of megalithic structures over there. Now, what you are going to see, the next point is slightly interesting and important. If you take a rough India map, we just now saw that Indus Valley civilization people, did they use iron or bronze? IVC, Bronze Age people. So which means the North Indians were still not much aware of iron. They were still using bronze. When do you think in North India iron came into use? Which age? Indus Valley, there is no iron. Vedic age lo start aina? Vedic age, iron usage started. Yes, please. In which part? Vedic age can be divided into two phases, if you are aware. Early Vedic, later Vedic. It was in later Vedic that people started using iron in the northern India. Okay. But you know what happened with them? Unfortunately, megalithic societies are mainly concentrated where you say? Deccan and South. Were these people already using iron? Megalithic societies, are they using iron? They are using. And the megalithic societies here have been using iron before the people in North India. But the only difference is that the North Indians realized it earlier that they must use it more beneficially to use it for agriculture purposes, and they started making good axes by which they can clear a lot of trees, okay, so that a lot of land can be brought under cultivation. They were using iron-tipped plow, iron-tipped plow, okay. Now, plow is not made of iron. Plow is generally made of wood only, but if you put an iron tip to the plow, will it help you in plowing even harder soils, please? Yes. So the North Indians, what happened? These people started using iron later than the South Indians. Manchi vinalana? Because this is a recent controversy done by your Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin. If anyone is aware of the last year's controversy 2025, Stalin came into media and openly claiming that we are the first ever people to use iron not in India. World. Tamil people, and see his pride in Tamil culture. He's claiming that we are the first people in the world to use iron. He's not even saying first in India also. That was a recent controversy that came in the last year. So maybe we can expect a question here. So one thing is becoming very clear. These megalithic societies, if you wish, you can keep writing, okay. They used iron earlier than North Indians. But problem? Continually they are using it mainly for military purposes. This North Indians, they started using iron roughly in the later Vedic age around 1200 BCE. 1200 BCE. But very soon they used for agriculture. But by post-Vedic times, soon after the Vedic period, in the post-Vedic times, these people used iron intensively for agriculture purposes. When they use it intensively for agricultural purposes, will they get surplus? With that surplus, will they get scripts and cities and states? And anyone can tell me what are those states? They are the Mahajanapadas. Most of you might have seen the map of Mahajanapadas. Where are they distributed? In North India or South India? Most of them are in North India only. Yes, please. Okay. Why not in South India? These people did not know the uses of iron? They knew, yeah. In fact, they started iron earlier than those people. But still, they did not really use it so much intensively for agriculture purposes. That's why they were a bit backward. And from this, the Mahajanapadas came. From the Mahajanapadas, I want you people to tell me which one became the most strongest. Magadha. From Magadha, what is the All India Empire that emerged? From Magadha Empire, an All India Empire emerged. Maurya. Yes, please. Okay. And eventually, the Mauryan Empire emerged. Did Mauryan Empire occupy Deccan and South India also? Yes. Essentially, except the farthest tip, till here, Mauryan Empire was able to occupy India. Don't you think people living in this part, Deccan and South India, they would have got one question. Ain't a question? Why those people have become so powerful, they are able to come from so far away and conquer us? Will they get that question in their mind? What made those people so powerful that they have come from so far away and able to conquer and rule over us? What is the answer they got? These people are nothing intelligent or more powerful than us. What they were simply doing is they were using iron intensively for agriculture purpose, whereas we were using it intensively for military and hunting purpose. If only we can start using it for agricultural purposes, what will happen to these people? What will happen to these people? Now, Nana, did they learn the uses of iron from North Indians? Did they learn the uses of iron from North Indians? No, please. They learned the usage of iron intensively for agricultural purpose from North Indians. But iron they were using it from before itself. But once they have learned it after coming under the control of Mauryan Empire, they will also start using it for agriculture. What will be the result? They will also start getting their own kingdoms and states, and all these things are going to come. And as part of this only, from Deccan, one megalithic society is going to evolve into something called as Shatavahanas. Because I'm eventually going to connect them in the timeline later on, remember this. And from South India, Tamil Nadu, 3 kingdoms are going to emerge. Not Pallavas. Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. Can you tell me that age? Sangam age and under. I'm just writing that here. So from the Mauryan Empire, these people have, in the post-Mauryan times, what has happened is that these megalithic societies used iron intensively for agriculture. and because of which they also became kind of the first states. They started evolving. They started evolving into first states. And I'm just writing like this. From Deccan, the first kingdom that is going to come in the post-Maurya time is the Shatavahanas, and from the Tamil Nadu and South India, it was the Sangam dynasties. Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. And this is there is one point I'm writing extra is because your Stalin has made a claim, okay, and the place from where he has got some evidence of earliest use of iron in India is called Shiva Galai. Shiva Galai. It's in Tamil Nadu. As of now, definitely one can say it is earliest in India, no doubt. Earliest usage of iron in India is not from North, it is from South India. But this man is making too much of a claim. What? First in the world itself. Now archaeologists are not ready to believe it. It will take some time. They will cross-verify it, check it and all these things, okay? But one thing we can definitely say, this is coming somewhere around 3300 BCE. As of now, this is the rough dating that they have done. Definitely, this is earliest iron use in India. This much we can definitely say. Okay. With that we finish your okay. Sites unnai sites konni vastai. Amma gidu goram ra baba. Your UPSC. Last year I gave my students a group of sites. Okay. They did not ask from any of them. 10-15 sites they did not ask any of them. They asked some other site. I was wondering where this site is. Why did they ask this site? You know why? Current affairs. There was an article in the newspaper about that place, that we found a newly megalithic site in this place. That's why they picked up and asked that. If you understand, that is how UPSC always tries to trick us. Sites. Last point about megalithic and we are done. Burzaham. Did we come across this previously? Burzaham, did you come across this sometime? Jammu Kashmir. Yes, please, Burzaham. You do find some of them there. Jammu Kashmir. Then you will find in Ellarigudem, Telangana, Ellarigudem. Next, Nagarjuna Konda. Yes, please. Andhra. Nagarjuna Konda in Andhra Pradesh. Next, Junapani in Maharashtra. Junapani in Maharashtra. Hallur and Hirebenekal, Karnataka. Hallur and Hirebenekal in Karnataka. Adichanallur. And Kodumanal, Tamil Nadu. Kodumanal in Tamil Nadu. Last. Kerala. Kudakallu Parambu. This is one site. Kudakallu Parambu. Marayur. Now these were some of the places I had given in the to students, and they asked, newspaper. That's Managadu. All from Kerala. I'm putting a star mark for the last one. That was what was asked in the exam. Managaru. So with this, we close the prehistory part of your discussion, for which I said I've written some points. But from now onwards, once we go into the timeline for ancient India, that is proper history section, we will focus more on timeline. Done? Ancient India timeline. And from here onwards, we are covering Bronze and Iron Age as part of history. Okay. Ancient India timeline. It's coming from 2600 BCE to roughly 700 CE. These are all the years that we are trying to cover. The first ever time we have a script in India is Indus Valley civilization. So we start our history with Indus Valley, even though we don't understand that script even today. Technically, it should be put as part of proto history. Yes or no? But should we have a hope that at some point of time it can get deciphered? No, hope should be there. Okay, that's the reason why we put it as part of history only. Indus Valley civilization. Remember in the beginning of the class when I asked the timeline for IVC, many of you told 1300. It's not wrong. Remember, it's not wrong. Here when I write 26 to 1900, it is only the mature phase that I'm talking about. After 1900 till 1300, you can still say it is late Harappan or post Harappan. You can say that. But when you're asked, generally the dates must be given for mature phase of Harappa. Okay. As of now, the question is, who were the people who built this civilization? There's a big debate in Indian history. Aryans are, pre-Aryans are. Understood that question? I'm asking you all simply. Now we all heard this debate in Indian history, Aryan, Dravidian. Aryans are generally considered to be the North Indians. Dravidians are the South. This is the classic story they have told us. Now the question is, what about the IVC? IVC was done by Aryans or non-Aryans? As of now, what is our understanding? Anyone can tell me? No, they are not Aryans. They are, in fact, they are considered to be none. No one can take these things if we want to go into the depths of these things. Even history, often students will never touch these things. Okay? They are generally very, very heated, debated controversies between historians. Okay. Some people, as of now, what we are going to use is what is there in the NCERT, that is the version we are going to use. According to that, these people are considered to be non-Aryans. They are considered to be not only non-Aryans, they are also considered to be pre-Aryans. And this civilization already existed in India before the Aryans came into India. Because you will study, you might have heard about this. Don't write, just listen. Aryans. Who are the Aryans? Itself is a big debate in Indian history. Are these people foreigners, and did they come from outside, or are these people natives of India or indigenous people? Again, it's a very debated issue. Even today, there are a good number of scholars who will suggest Aryans are foreigners, but there are equally good number of scholars, particularly because of the advancing technology. New evidences are coming out nowadays, okay, because of which there are a few people who also claim that Aryans are natives. As of now, the version that we are going to use in this course is that Aryans are foreigners. But remember one point, it might be helpful in the next years, okay? If you take the two political parties of India, Congress and BJP, Congress believes Aryans are foreigners. But now, BJP, if it ever is going to come with new history textbooks, most probably you will see that Aryans are, according to BJP, they are indigenous or native. But as of now, the textbooks have not yet changed completely, so we still use foreigners. In case you get a new set of textbooks by BJP, you are simply switching that they are not foreigners, they are indigenous or antum. Okay. Otherwise, I'm not going to get into the controversies. It's even in the regular classroom also, I try not to go too deep into those things. So you will say an IVC is nothing but it is a pre-Aryan and non-Aryan Bronze Age civilization. By the way, anyone knows, can tell me when can you call a society as a civilization? Can you call Paleolithic society as a civilization? Why? Culture untundana. Culture is way of life. You can simply say that it's culture. When you have scripts, government, states, cities, then you can call that society as civilization. So can I call a Paleolithic society as a civilization? No, please. Bronze Age? Bronze Age. Yes, you can call. That's why I'm saying, I'm using the word Bronze Age civilization. Anyone can tell me what are the two more civilizations that emerged in the world before IVC? Mesopotamian civilization and Egyptian civilization. Egyptian, if you understand, mummies, pyramids, etc. Those were the Egyptian people used to do now. Was Indus Valley civilization the earliest civilization in the world? Indus Valley civilization the earliest civilization in India?
Yes.
In the world, no. In India, it's the first civilization. Yes, in India, it is the first civilization. As of now, the understanding is that it is who built it? Non-Aryans built it. I'm just drawing a small diagram over here, and you will tell me which part of India this civilization flourished. Northwestern parts. Ikana. This is the main area where this Indus civilization was flourishing. Please tell me, what about the people in the rest of the country? Do you have any people living in the rest of India, or it was completely empty? Some people will be living there in these parts.
Yes.
Who could they be? They will be Aryans or non-Aryans? Think and tell. Even they are considered to be non-Aryans, because that's the reason I put the word here, pre-Aryans. Until by this time, Aryans have still not come into the country. I'm writing here. So this entire part is IVC. Whereas this part of India, the other parts of India, they were again non-Aryan communities only. But at different stages of evolution, which means some of them could be in Paleolithic, some of them could be in Neolithic, some of them in Chalcolithic, but none of them in Bronze Age. Only one Bronze Age civilization, that is in northwestern parts. The rest of the country also had many non-Aryans. You might have some of you might have heard this. Today we have many tribal communities in India. Bhils, Gonds, where they stay? Forest, okay. I'm not trying to tell it for sure, but I'm just telling you one small story over here. Try to understand. These are non-Aryan people. They are also non-Aryans. In the Vedic age, who is going to come? Vedic age, Aryans are going to come. Okay. Then these people, is there a chance that some of these people, when Aryans are going to come from this direction, these Indus people, non-Aryans would have started coming into rest of India? When Indus Valley civilization has collapsed. Okay, in 1900 it collapsed. From these parts, these are also non-Aryans. Good to try to understand. The Indus people are also non-Aryans. Here also we have non-Aryans. Indus non-Aryans, can I say they are moving towards into the rest of India?
Yes.
Yes, please. Slowly Aryans are going to come. And it is believed that the Aryans who eventually came into India in the Vedic times, I'm not going to write that, I'm just telling you for understanding purpose, those people have become the North Indians as we see today. The Indus people who came here, they are the Dravidians of today. Then who are these people? Then what happened to them? They are the tribal people, if you understood what I'm trying to say. Did you get the difference point, please? Okay. So Aryans come, Indus people will become from an Aryan point of view what? Dravidians. For Dravidians are pushed by Aryans. Dravidians are pushing someone else. These people who will eventually go into the forest like tribal people like Bhils and Gonds. That is how the theory goes. But then again, there are many scholars who are trying to suggest that no. All you're telling is a cock and bull story. We don't believe this. Aryans are not at all foreigners at all. Aryans are indigenous people. That's the kind of controversies that are going on. Next. Second age. Vedic age. 1500 to 600 BC, after a gap of somewhere around 400 years, you're going to see another new chapter in Indian history. And this time, Vedic age is going to be the main architects of this are not non-Aryans, they are Aryans. Aryan people are the ones who are going to enter. The new people are entering into India, Aryans. Obviously, if they are foreigners, as of now, as we consider, okay, they will be coming into India from which direction? Northwestern parts again, they are going to slowly come into India. And when they come, they have written some religious texts called as Vedas, and because it is in this age that these were composed, you are calling that age as Vedic age, and I say clear Antaman. Now, if you look at the Vedas, can I say I'll write it like this, Vedas have eventually become the foundational scripture for this modern religion called as Hinduism. If you ask a Christian, what is the holy scripture? Bible. If you ask a Muslim, Quran. If you ask a Hindu, many people don't know. They'll say Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata. The foundational texts of Hinduism are, remember, Vedas. It is from Vedas only eventually you are going to get the modern day Hinduism. Then, if you ask you a simple question, in Hinduism today, if you observe, what is the main mode of worship? How do Hindus worship their gods? They mainly do it in form of idols, put in big buildings called temples. Temple and idol worship is the main form of worship in Hinduism as of today. But if you look at Vedas, something very interesting comes out. Anyone can tell me, do you find any temples and idols in Vedic period? No, there are no temples and idols in Vedic period. But Hinduism, which has evolved from Vedic age, Vedic religion itself is going to have again temples and idols. So I'm just writing, temple and idol worship is the main form. But here, there are no idols, no temples. And what were they worshipping? Anyone? Natural forces. Worship they are worshipping, and what they are practicing is nature worship. What they are worshipping? Natural forces. How they are worshipping the natural forces? Firstly, chanting mantras. Sakris, yajnas, homas, and they were performing they will dig some huge fire pits. All the huge, good number of brahmanas would sit around that. Okay, they'll start chanting mantras, offering some sacrifices, and that entire process is called as a yaga, yajna, or homa. The homa gunda anta homa kunda. Okay, that's the fire pit in which they used to do this. So that was the type of religion these people used to practice. But do you find even today Brahmins too continue doing this? Here and there, but they're not done in a massive scale as it was done in those times. But still, for some specific ceremonies, do they keep doing this even today as well? Okay. So this is nature worship through what? Yajnas, homas, with chanting mantras and offering sacrifices. That is the kind of religion originally they had. But definitely one thing you can say, no temples and no idols at that time. Okay. So that's the reason. When you say what religion Aryans brought into India, you cannot say Hinduism. No, you should not use the word. You know what you should use? Simply you are saying Vedic religion. Vedic religion is eventually going to become Hinduism. But is Vedic religion equal to Hinduism? No. I can say like it is a seed from which this tree came. But you can't say seed equal to tree. I hope that's understood very well. So here, the religion which I'm writing here is, you cannot call it Hinduism. You must for a long time call it as Vedic religion. Okay. As of now, I said we are considering Aryans to be foreigners, but there is no guarantee for that. It's a very politically debated issue. But one thing we can say, if we are considering them as foreigners, obviously they would have come from the northwestern direction. And when they will come, do you think they are going to penetrate into entire India all of a sudden, or initially settle down in the border areas first? Initially in the border areas they are going to settle. And later on, they moved into the interior portions of India. So that's the reason why we say, initially when they were living in the border portion, northwestern portions, you call that period as early Vedic age. When a society changes the place where it lives, will its lifestyle undergo a change? Naturally. So after some time, when they got settled down in northwestern India, when they came to know what is the situation here, slowly they are going to come into the interior portions, and the lifestyle here is very, very different from the early Vedic lifestyle. So you are going to give a separate name for it, later Vedic age. And here, the main tool that these people were using was still bronze as the raw material. But something very important is going to happen in the later Vedic times. Here, these people have started using iron. They discovered iron. But initially, they are again using it more for military purpose than for agriculture purpose. Eventually, they will start using it for agriculture purpose earlier than the South Indians, no doubt. But even they initially use it for military purpose only. When they are using it for military purpose, can you think and tell me, will these people be having a lot of cities and all?
Yes.
When they are using it more for military purpose, will they really have so much of cities and states? Not yet, okay. So while Indus Valley civilization was urban, these people are essentially rural. No cities and states. So essentially, a rural life. These people used to live like a rural life. So that's why I'm writing that years also for year 1500 to 1000 BCE. This one 1000 to 600 BCE. Next step. The two problems in Aryan culture. Aryan culture had two important problems. One is a social problem and one is an economic problem. What was the social problem? Anyone knows the meaning of the word Arya? Respected, something noble, higher. Generally, what they used to see, Aryans had a sense of superiority. And obviously, when they came into India, don't you think they would have encountered non-Aryans? They should have called the non-Aryans by some name. Anyone can tell me those names by which they used to refer to non-Aryans? Dasas, Dasyus, and Vinuntan. Okay, they were generally considered to be inferior to them. Aryans are considering themselves as superior. Dasas and Dasyus, who are the non-Aryans, are considered inferior. Can I say this kind of a sense of superiority and inferiority, will it lead to some kind of a discriminatory system? Anyone can tell me eventually it is going to lead to what? Varna system, and which will eventually become caste system. Varna system eventually evolves into the caste system. That was now you tell me, in this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, don't you think the lower Varna people will be struggling with the domination of the upper Varnas? Will there be a desire for them to break this system?
Yes.
Yes, they will want. They are waiting for an opportunity. Eventually, they never succeeded, but they will at least try, as you will see in the next chapter. Anyone can tell economic problem, and we'll stop it here with this. Economic problem in the Vedic culture. Sacrifices, we just now saw. What are these people sacrificing? Do you think they are sacrificing only vegetarian products, or they are even sacrificing animals? Animal, and within animal, one particular animal they were sacrificing was cows, cattle. What is the problem with cattle sacrifices? Agriculture. Who will do agriculture then if all the animals, cattle are being sacrificed? Okay. So the biggest problem with this economic problem was the cattle sacrifices. What is the problem? Because of this, it prevented the growth of agriculture. Prevented the growth of agriculture. Don't you think someone will come and raise their voice against these problems? Yes, they are the ones, Buddha and Jaina, with the main concept ahimsa toti. Now you tell me what could happen with the concept of ahimsa? Cattle sacrifices will reduce. Iron, don't you think eventually, because they've already discovered iron, using it mainly for military purpose, over a period of time, is there a chance they will use it for agricultural purpose? And when cattle sacrifices are reducing because of the increasing popularity of ahimsa, what will happen? Because of ahimsa, the cattle sacrifices are reducing. More cattle will be available to do agriculture. What will happen to the surplus? Surplus, if you get surplus, again you know what's going to happen. Cities, states, scrapes, all these things are going to come, and that's what we are going to see tomorrow. That the first chapter, next chapter, what can I put the next chapter heading on? This is Vedic. Can I call it as post-Vedic? Yes, please. Next chapter, can I call it as post-Vedic? Okay, we'll see tomorrow. Revise and come, it will be good for you all. I will tell the management to give the handouts, okay, for all the ancient, medieval and modern India. Art and culture, you don't really have any such handouts. These 3 modules, but if you don't be afraid looking at the handouts, okay, intunta handouts. For modern India, ancient, medieval, combined, you are going to get these many handouts. At least నాకు తెలిసి, if you ask me the number, modern 25 వచ్చుంటాయి మీకు handouts. Modern 25 వచ్చినాయా? 25, ancient India 7, medieval India 5. Nearly 30-35 handouts వస్తాయి. Okay, if you read that, beauty ఏంటి? You need not again go and bang your head on all those NCRTs. అవన్నీ స్పెక్ట్రమ్ ఉంది, ఒక బ్యూటిఫుల్ బుక్ ఉంటుంది దరిద్రం, ఇది మోడర్న్ ఇండియా స్పెక్ట్రమ్. You need not read all those things if you read my handouts. Okay, I'll tell that management, they will give you. Thank you.